Okie dokie. Oh. Gotta remember that. There we go. Oh, using arm too much. Gotta do more hip. Let it flow. Step out, pivot. 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 Ooh. Foot got caught. Step out, pivot. 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 Ooh, bad pivot. Whew. Step out, pivot. 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 Once again, bad pivot. Step out, pivot. Pivot. Step out, 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 pivot. Ah, lost my balance. Step out, pivot. 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 Ooh, lost my balance again. Step out, pivot. 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 Ooh. Going too fast, messing it up. Step out, pivot. Time. All right, second round. Step, pivot. Step out, 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 pivot. Ooh, lost my balance. Step out, pivot. 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 Yeah. Lost my balance. Step out, pivot. 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 Ah, back foot went flat. Step out, pivot. Step out, pivot. Step out, pivot. Ah, flat foot again. Ah. It's almost like when you get tired, you make mistakes. Step out, pivot. 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 Too narrow there. Bad stance. Step out, pivot. 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 Flat foot. Step out, pivot. Step out, pivot, pivot, and done. All right. Sink hips. Sink hips. Sink hips. Sink hips. Sink hips. Nope. Nope. Okay. Onside. Offside. Step. Pivot. Hit. 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 Step. Pivot. Hit. Onside, offside, step, hit. Onside, offside, step, pivot. Load hip, onside. Load hip, offside. Step, pivot, hit, hit. Having trouble with the transition between the wrap and this next onside. It's just weird. This makes sense. This makes sense. This makes sense. This next piece, how to go from here to here, is what I'm struggling with. It's kind of like here, here. I'm trying to figure out if it's shift back, which makes it feel weird, like my arm's coming across, or if it's shift my hip back, right? So here, 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 here. Or if it's the, so I'm trying to figure out if it's 1, pull back, 2, so twice with this hip driving it, or if it's 1, 2, and then like another step and drop in. Now I'm just confusing myself. All right, let's see. 1, 2, hit, 2. Yeah, it's got to be that. It's got to be the double swing through, right? So 1, 2, 1, no, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. No, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, let's get the stick. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Pull the stick through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's got to be in turn. So hit, go through, hit. Okay. Hit. Did it wrong. Hit, pull, hit. Hit, pull, hit. Hit, pull, hit. So, pull, pull through. Ah, bad. Pull, hit. Let your hips do the work. Okay, so no arm at all. Just body weight. Okay. It's more hip twist. It would be the same as that. Oh, it's the same as that. I'm dumb. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yep. 1, 2, 3. 2. that's time.